good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. It's a Wednesday, so we are at home. In fact, just swinging along in my egg chair. Haven't been outside on the front porch, on the patio for a little while. I had to come out because it's absolutely a gorgeous morning. You definitely can feel a shift in the pattern of weather. It's going to be a little warmer today, but you know what? It's still summer, so we're okay with that. If you have your pool open, I'd say you might want to try to get in. Water might be a little chilly, but the outside temperature is going to be nice for sure. May want to get your early activities done, like walking the dogs, walking and running yourself, maybe cycling. Enjoy that early morning crispness that's in the air right now because it's going to get hot later on today. We're going to give you the forecast, and I want to change things around just a little bit today. Instead of doing your news you can use first, I'm actually going to save a lot of that because I want it to be more of a talker. Of course, we'll talk about the debate last night. We'll talk about what happened 23 years ago today and remembering all those lives lost in 9/11. And then we've got some other news you can use as well as some sports news. And then we've got some talkers. All that coming up for you a little bit later on. First of all, let's give you the forecast and then we're going to talk. Are you a fan of reading books? I'm actually interested if a lot of you still read a book holding it in your hand, or do you like those Kindles? I'm old school. I like the traditional side of actually getting a book. So we're going to talk about the Missouri Book Fair coming up this weekend in Washington, Missouri. All of that coming up for you. Let's start off, though, with your forecast. As I mentioned, today it is going to be warmer. Look at that, 90 degrees, hazy sunshine. We like that. Evening rain to the south tomorrow night and heading into Friday. A lot of that's coming from the Louisiana and the Texas area. We've been talking about Francine. 84 on Thursday, mid 60s for the low. Friday, we've got periods of rain, 75 for your high. We could get about an inch of rain here, but 10 inches expected where the eye of the storm is. 66 for your low Friday night. And we go into the weekend, we have a 30% chance of rain on Saturday with the 79 high. And we've got St. Louis City SC in action Saturday night. 65 for your low. Sunday, a chance of showers and 83. And then we get into next week, expect mid 80s for the high on Monday and Tuesday and a chance of showers, as you can see on Monday. As we mentioned, a lot of that rain that we're going to see on Thursday and Friday has to do with hurricane landfall in Louisiana ahead already. Missouri Task Force 1 has actually been deployed to help out in that area. They will be deployed to Louisiana ahead of Hurricane Francine's landfall. Dozens of first responders from across Missouri lending a helping hand to those impacted by the storm. They have search and rescue missions, wide area searches, welfare checks, and hazmat incidents that they will be helping out. We will continue to monitor that, and I will bring you the latest on that, of course, coming up tomorrow. But it is right now where they are asking people to possibly find alternate methods of a place to stay. The people that are staying, that is why our task force has been deployed, because they will be helping out in that area. All right, as I mentioned, we've got a lot of other news you can use. And instead of me having it at the very beginning of the show, we're going to save that closer to the 7:30 time frame because we're going to talk about books. That's right. Are you a big book fan? Well, we're going to be talking with Amanda Doyle. She's a writer and a city enthusiast who came to St. Louis as a transplant and now loves it like a native. She grew up in Memphis and St. Petersburg, Florida, attended Mizzou and the University of Illinois. She arrived here back in 97 and set out to figure out what this city was all about. More than 25 years and 10 books, by the way, and countless magazine articles she's still discovering. She enjoys off the beaten path bars, she told me, spending a few hours at the coffee shop, loves live local music, all of that we've got here in St. Louis, dragging her kids on research adventures, and she lives with her husband, 2 kids, a cat and a dog in the city's Tower Grove Heights neighborhood. Her most recent book is Missouri Weird and Wonderful. We're going to talk about not just that book, but several, as I mentioned, that she has out. She is my guest when we return.
Monica's show, it's very informational, but more importantly, inspirational.
People such as myself and others can come out and talk about real issues that are taking place in our communities.
These are amazing, really, really important topics that don't get discussed enough.
It really just promotes people who are making change and doing good in their lives.
All right, welcome back. I hope you are enjoying your morning. Let me know if you're outside. I'll get to all of you that are saying good morning and answering your questions in just a second. But as I mentioned, we're going to talk about books and my guest, Amanda Doyle. I just gave you a little background on her. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
Well, book, I'm just going to start with this. Are you an old school traditionalist or do you read them off the Kindle?
I am an old school book person as well. I have tried tried to make the leap, but my brain doesn't work that way. I am actually right now listening to an audiobook, which is also a stretch for me, but it's on CDs in my car. So I don't know where that puts me. I'm all over the place.
You are a traditionalist if you're talking about CDs.
It's true. I have
I
the
was
last car on earth that has a CD player in it, and I
No,
love it.
no, no, no. My husband has one also. Actually, I just traded in a car, so my other car a couple years ago still had one. It actually was in the back in the trunk, so you had to get out, put a bunch in there, and then just cycle through it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's when you need your friend to go but take care of the music for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, go change the CD. Yeah, we're talking about tradition and we're talking about books, which I absolutely love. So, the Missouri Book Festival in Washington, Missouri, this has been going on for what, a couple years now?
This is actually the second installment. The first
Yeah.
one happened in 2022, and it was a huge undertaking, and in fact was so successful that they had planned to do it every year, and they decided to take a year off to like make sure they were in place for the next time because there were a lot of people, and we wanted to really, plan for a great second installment. So this year will be the second one.
And again, you can see there, MissouriBookFestival.com, where you can go to find out more information. Free is what's amazing. You know, a lot of people always look for events that they can do with their whole family. Well, this is one for you. I'm going to show you the festival map. So kind of walk us through this, Amanda, since this is just the second year of it. What can people experience in this map?
So this is a map of downtown Washington, Missouri, which are people in the St. Louis area are not familiar. It's about 50 miles west of St. Louis. It's a beautiful, like sort of classic Missouri river town. And what you're seeing here is the festival grounds. So we're centered around the Washington Public Library. A lot of programs happening within the library, but several other venues within, about 2 block walking radius. Tents outside, activities happening all over the place in Washington.
Fantastic. And again, one of the great things is everyone has different mindsets of what they are drawn to, right? If somebody likes fiction or humor or nonfiction, etc., that's what I love about books. That somebody can say, "Oh my gosh, you have to read this book," and somebody else can look over and go, "Yeah, that I have no interest in that whatsoever." But that's the same thing. It's like movies. I also love that. Are you the type of person that says, "Okay, I love to go see a movie, but you got to read the book because the book is so much better"? I always hear that.
Yes, for sure. And sometimes you get angry about it, but yeah, sometimes it's better if you don't know going in because then you can enjoy the movie and then you can read the book later and not feel like you got cheated out of something. So
Absolutely. So let's talk about you first of all. I mentioned 25 years later and multiple books. You have 10 now?
that's correct. Yes, Missouri Weird and Wonderful is the 10th.
And what made you want to start your very first one?
I went to journalism school, as you mentioned. So I always say that that's a professional license to be nosy. And when I came to St. Louis, I had not grown up here. And my husband and I moved into the city, into Lafayette Square, very near downtown. And he grew up in St. Louis, but in the county. So it was really like we were both in a new place for both of us. And I just started putting that newsy nose to work and trying to find out how things worked here. What is the deal with St. Louis? I worked for many years at the Visitor magazine, so part of my day job was paying attention to what was going on in town, and that eventually led to my first book, which is actually no longer in print. It was an amazing book, but it's yet to be revived. But it was a neighborhoods guidebook to St. Louis, so it was essentially all the things I was finding out for myself that I thought, well, I bet other people would like to know this as well.
Absolutely. Well, I like this one, 100 things to do in St. Louis before you die.
Let me tell you, I do a lot of talks about my books, and this one gets a different reaction depending on the audience. But my favorite is when I talk to school kids and I mention this book and they just, howl with laughter. This is very funny to them. And I think, yep, check back with me in 40 years, kid. We'll see if it seems a little more pointed at that point.
It keeps changing and changing. Okay, well, I have to know. So since I am a St. Louisan, born and raised here for almost in my entire life, except for when I went away to college, what are some of the top things on that 100 things to do? We have 100 things to do before we die that you would have to say are standouts.
So whenever I meet someone who's been here for a long time and they say, I've probably done this all, my number one tip is a live music venue called Joe's Cafe. It's in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood.
Okay.
Have you been to Joe's, Monica? Do you know about it?
I don't. It sounds kind of familiar, but I don't think I have.
Okay, this is my stump the chump option always. No offense to the chumps out there who have been here forever, but it is only open 1 or 2 nights a week at most, and the interior and the outside garden were designed by the artist Bill Chrisman, who did a lot of the sort of outlandish architecture at City Museum along with Bob Cassidy. So it's this wild, beautiful place. It's about the size of the inside of your car, so it's a very intimate venue. And there's a stage with great musicians. They have a lot of St. Louis musicians, but sometimes people touring through town who are doing a big show somewhere else will come and do a set at Joe's. And you're just packed in there with, 85 of your closest friends. It's BYO everything. They do not serve any alcohol. They do not serve food. They charge you a cover at the door and you get to see a great show. So that's one of my favorite hidden gems.
And it's on Skinker, did you say?
It's in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood. Okay. It's actually on Kingsbury. It's just on the end of a residential block. So
Joe's Cafe.
Yep. You can find it on Facebook.
I'm going to have to go there. I'll do a little social media reel about it. Maybe we'll do a mobile Monica from there. Who knows? But I have not been there. Okay, so we're talking about all these books. Dare I ask you your favorite?
My favorite is always either my most recent one or the one I'm working on next. So I will say, you mentioned Missouri Weird and Wonderful. That's the most recent book. It's a collaboration with an incredible St. Louis-based artist named Dan Zetwalk. Dan is a graphic designer and an illustrator, does lots and lots of work for huge clients all over the place. And he and I have been aware of each other's work for a long time and just finally had the chance to work together. So this is an eye-popping graphic novel style, comic booky looking book. And it's packed with, weird facts and cool foods and interesting animals and great natural spaces all in the state of Missouri. And it's so beautiful. I have to love it.
Well, I just love the fact that you have fallen in love with our area. I mean, I know you've transplanted and been here 25 years, but you could very easily write more so on where you came from. So you've fallen in love with the Show Me State, and you're showing us through a lot of the aspects of the book. If you're just tuning in, again, as you can see, we're talking with Amanda Doyle. We're talking about the big festival coming up, second year again, Missouri Book Festival, September 13th, 14th in Washington, Missouri. I mentioned in the beginning, but if you just tuned in, the programming is free. It's open to all ages. It includes kids, food and cooking, sports, dance, comics, drawing, art, animals, history, gardening, poetry. I mean, my goodness, there's a lot going on. I'm going to take a quick break, but I want you to look at this video as we go into the break so you can find out more. Well, the Missouri Book Festival looked fun, but how about this? Doesn't that just bring you to a calming state? Yes, Elemental Aesthetics. Cannot wait to go there. Today, I'm going to be relaxing with Jennifer Warman Bloss. We introduced you to her just last week with Elemental Aesthetics. I mentioned so many services that they have that you can take advantage of. Maybe you grab your girlfriends, maybe it's your significant other, maybe it's a mother-daughter day out. That's the Salt Room, which I cannot wait to experience. Red light therapy, but not just red light, blue light therapy. There's Jennifer right there. It even turns purple. We're going to find out what all of the different services can do for you from the inside and out. They even have an incredible place for you to go get your nails done. You know, I'll be talking about a lot of this in the upcoming weeks and months to come. Again, it's Elemental Aesthetics. I can't wait for you to try them out. They're on North New Ballas Road. We'll be talking about them a lot in the coming months. All right, welcome back. Amanda Doyle's with me. We're talking about the Missouri Book Festival, which is this weekend, absolutely free. And it's for the entire family. You can bring your friends, girlfriends, just make it a weekend out for sure. Amanda, going into the break, I mentioned there is a ton going on at this. I mean, it's a packed week. And here's the festival, why there's so much spread out. Also, the New York Times bestselling author Ridley Pearson will be there. Kingdom Keeper's Inheritance. Have you met Ridley?
I have not read him. We've been met him. We've been emailing a little bit because I'm going to be introducing him and facilitating the Q&A after his talk. So I will say, though, speaking of reading books, so I've been reading a bunch of Ridley Pearson books the last couple of weeks, and It's been interesting because this Kingdom Keepers is his newest series for children, young adults, and then he's written all these adult thrillers that are like international spy espionage. So I'm between a lot of worlds of Ridley Pearson right now.
I bet. So again, you'll get a chance to see him. So what you'll be bringing him on, you said, what time is he starting?
He is speaking at 7:00 Friday night, and it'll be, this is the only thing that's not at the festival grounds. It'll actually be in the theater at Washington High School in Washington, Missouri.
I just love Washington, and you mentioned it earlier. It's just such a beautiful area. If you haven't been in a while, if you've never been, you really need to treat yourself. So let's start running through some of the different programs, et cetera, that are available to everyone. We talked about over 30 different programs and activities for all ages. Since you just kicked it off last year, what did you hear from the kids that they enjoyed the most?
The kids always love seeing the costumed children's book characters. So throughout the day, there will be familiar characters like Clifford the Big Red Dog, Pete the Cat. If you've read to kids in the last 12 years or so, you know about Elephant and Piggy. So we've got all these characters sort of roaming around meeting kids, and that's just magical for a certain age of reader. And then all of the hands-on opportunities. The tagline of the festival is where stories come to life. So there are very few parts of it that are just quietly sitting on your own with the book. We figure you can do that later. But these are all ways that things from the book are going to show up in front of you, whether it's a dance, whether it's the chance to touch a live animal. We have a live animal show this year. There's a circus, a children's circus, actually, that'll be performing. So there's a little something, as you said, for just about any interest.
Yeah, we were showing the animals earlier and have it on the screen for you now. So we see horses. What other animals are there?
So this year, we actually have a new program in the mix from the Wonders of Wildlife Museum in Springfield, and they are going to be bringing their animal adventure, ed with an ED. So they bring their animal educator who talks about the importance of native animals and preserving habitat and conservation and things like that. She did not tell me which animals are coming because I think that's a game day decision, who's being cooperative. But she is going to have a lot of small animals with her that the children can learn about and then actually pet, see, look at them in real life.
And how much, if the kids all want to run away to the circus, they don't have to run away too far. The Circus Harmony performers will be there.
Right. Circus Harmony was one of the huge hits of the inaugural festival in 2022. And then not too far from the circus is the other can't miss attraction, which is live American Championship Wrestling. There is an author of a book called Wrestling at the Chase, which is about the heyday of professional wrestling at the Chase Park Plaza. And he is bringing wrestlers at a ring with him. And if you are in downtown Washington and can't figure out where the festival is happening, that will be your clue. There's a giant wrestling ring and you will hear it.
And then if you're a fan of music or you're a fan of cooking, that will be on display as well.
Yes, on the main festival stage, which is the biggest tent right outside the library, we have cooking demos all day long happening from some pretty renowned cookbook authors and chefs. There will be First thing in the morning, we've got homemade donuts, how to make your own donuts from Rachel Wyman, who's an donut influencer, which is my favorite title that I've ever heard. Donut influencer. That sounds amazing.
I want to be that.
Her after Rachel's presentation, we'll have a quick set change, and then we'll be talking more in the lunchtime hour about Kansas City burnt ends. Chef Matthew Unger will be there. He and his co-author Portia Moran have a brand new book called Missouri Comfort, and it's all about comfort foods from all across the state. There's a crepe making demonstration. And then all around the festival will be food trucks and drink trucks, so you can actually go and get something of your own to eat while you're watching these amazing creations on stage.
Absolutely. And then, am I seeing this correct? And hopefully that he'll be there again this year. Louis from the Blues?
That's right. We have several blues books that are happening. So there will be other mascots. And I forgot to mention, along with the costume characters of children's books, we have a Mark Twain impersonator and a Laura Ingalls Wilder reenactor who will be moving through the crowd as well. So there's a lot to see, and you can just sort of wander and take it all in.
And let's not forget about the dogs. There's also a dog show. When is this?
The dog show actually was from the first year. This year, the dog show is being replaced by the animals from Wonders of Wildlife.
Oh, okay. So, but
there's always live animals.
This is a good question, though, because a lot of people don't want to leave the dogs at home. Is it dog friendly?
Oh, for sure. Yes, you could be out and about. It's like any kind of festival or market. Almost everything is outdoors. Some of the programming will be centered in the Washington Library, but it's all around the library. So if you need to leave it with the person you came with and go inside and enjoy a 30-minute program and come back, your dog will be happy and fine.
And then if, again, you're going to be doing all these activities, so you're going to get hungry. You have a bunch of food trucks and vendors and things like that?
That's right. There will be food trucks surrounding the festival grounds, and then also just all over on the lots around the building, there are various vendors. A lot of Missouri authors will be there with their books, which will be a fun opportunity. You can't always easily find local books necessarily. If you go to a bookstore, there's a lot of choices. So this will be an easy place to come and find. These are all people who are based in Missouri, writing about all different topics. I write a lot specifically about St. Louis and Missouri, but these are people who have memoirs, who have self-help, who have local histories, who have children's books, and they'll all be thrilled to talk to you about them.
And you mentioned the Missouri Comfort book. We are actually going to be featuring that coming up very soon. I'll give you the date on that, everybody. So that one I'm really excited about. I just think it's just so much fun. And again, hopefully the rain will hold off, or you can kind of dart in and out as you're enjoying a lot of activity. So from a monetary standpoint, the only thing they would need money for would be the food and things like that. Otherwise, it's free.
Everything is free. If you want to buy some food, or if you want to purchase a couple of local books for holiday gifts, if you're really on top of things here in September, now would be a good time to do that. But yeah, otherwise you don't need a ticket, and you can park your car somewhere and spend the entire day eating crepes, watching the circus, and hanging out with us in Washington.
I was just going to ask you, that was my last question, if you have a particular area that you think it's best for them to park.
There are actually, on that map that you showed, the parking lots are designated, but they are essentially on the perimeter of the festival grounds. So if you get close to the Washington Public Library, which again is right downtown, there will be marked parking lots all around. And if people have not been to Washington, the grounds where we are is literally several blocks from the river, and it's it's not like getting to the riverfront in St. Louis, which can be a little tricky. It is very walkable. You can easily walk down. There are benches along the riverfront. It's just a beautiful, picturesque place to spend a weekend day.
And I'm just going to give a shout out to a friend of mine, just in case you don't want to go to the food trucks, you want to take a little break. My friend Tanya Wade owns Oak and Front, which is an incredible restaurant right by where Amanda's talking about, where the riverfront is and everything. Have you been there?
Yes, I have been there. And I will say that's the other great thing about this location. You don't have to stay right on the festival grounds. Washington's downtown is full of really interesting independent businesses, restaurants, there are galleries, different shops. So our hope is that people will wander a little bit and go and explore what else Washington has to offer.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, Amanda, let's look at some comments from people. Everybody's saying it looks so fun. Exactly. That's why we wanted to bring it to your attention, because you can sit there and Google what's going on for the weekend. Maybe or maybe not, you would have found this. I wanted to bring it to your attention. For now, you can put it on the calendar for something for you to do. Kathy says, great idea. Michelle just said, I'm buying 2 of the Weird and Wonderful for Christmas gifts. See?
That's
already
great. Well,
put it out there.
if you happen to be in Washington this weekend, bring them, and I will be happy to sign them for you. And
Oh.
I should say, there's a whole program grid on the website, so you can literally look at the schedule of everything that's happening and figure out where you want to be. If there are certain things that you want to find, it's easy to see ahead of time.
Again, here's the books, Amanda Doyle, and the best way to find you on your website, amandadoyle.com.
It's amandaedoyle.com. I'm a
Okay.
Yep. There's another author out there, so she and I are keeping ourselves separate. But yes.
All right, put
That's
the
great.
E in. Don't forget the E for education. amandaedoyle.com. And then I mentioned again, MissouriBookFestival.com for everything that you need to know about the second Missouri Book Festival. Amanda, you're awesome. I hope it is packed. Do you have any idea how many people attended last year?
The gate count that we had was north of 3,000. I think we stopped counting at that point. So for a first year festival that really had, never happened before, Washington turned out, and a lot of people came from all over the state. My favorite thing that happened was we had a group of librarians who came up together from the Boot Heel. This was kind of their work trip, and they were there all day, and they had an awesome time, and it was really fun to see them throughout the day.
Absolutely. It sounds like a blast. And as I said, I hope the rain holds off for you and that you have even more thousands coming this weekend. Amanda, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a beautiful day.
Thanks.
We need women to lift women up.
Let's do that. Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with her viewers and her listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
How are you doing? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey. You're close.
Monica. Whoa.
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind.
All right, I mentioned it's not over just yet. Hanging on for maybe another couple of weeks. Pool time for sure. We are not closing ours if we absolutely have to. And for those of you that have pools and you're lucky enough to have a heater, you might be able to push the envelope all the way in through October, maybe even November. We found out yesterday from Shane and Jennifer, who own the Landing Hub, they're keeping their pool open at their hotel, their boutique hotel that we'll be showing you tomorrow for our Mobile Monica. They will have that open through November. If somebody rented out the whole hotel, and definitely wanted the pool still open. Our pool is built by our friends at Just Pools. You know, they've been part of our program for a while now. And I ask you always, do me a favor. When you hear me talk about a new business, support those that support us. Just Pools, the pool and spa specialist located right there on the West Outer Road in Arnold. I hope you've been by already. If not, do me a favor, stock up on all the chemicals that you need. Maybe you grab, again, some of those fun toys. I've got a leopard print. It looks like a donut recliner that I'm able to, the water recliners that I'm able to use. And it's from our friends at Just Pools. They've got 50% off all those fun toys while they last, and they are making room for the spas because we're getting into spa season. If you haven't been yet, go check them out, see what they have. They're getting more and more and more in. So besides the 50% off all those fun toys, they also have 10% off right now the winterizing kits, because yes, it's going to happen sooner than later that you will have to winterize the pool. Either do it yourself or maybe get on the schedule for them to do it. There you go. Just a few of the spas that you could make a part of your backyard oasis. Just Pools. Tell them we sent you in. I'd love to hear that you get a chance to meet our friends Madonna and the rest of the staff at Just Pools. Pool and spa specialist, again, located on the West Outer Road in Arnold. Welcome back, 7:30 on the nose. That's how we do it for you. We get down to business. We give you a little fun, tell you about some great things going on in our area, and so appreciative of Amanda Doyle taking some time out today to tell us about the Missouri Book Festival. If you just tuned in and you missed it, the beauty of streaming, you can go back and watch all of that. Again, over 30 programs, activities for all ages, 30 vendors, food trucks, so many different highlights, and it is September 13th and 14th, the second annual Missouri Book Festival. All right, so I flipped things around just a little bit today because I wanted this to be a little bit more of a talker situation. Today is a day that we will never forget. 23 years ago, 9/11 happened. What I want you to do right now, oh, I just got chill, is to drop in the comments and tell me, where were you on that day? I was a news director at the time, working at 92.3 WIL radio. I happened to be on vacation, but I was at home, a staycation. And one of the things my best friend always was frustrated about is that people that I worked with, they would regularly text me. Actually, I guess it was page me at the time, right? So we didn't have text. Page me at the time. And it was every little thing that they would say, who should I call for this? Who should I call for that? This was like DJs that would do that. And she would say, oh my gosh, can't they just like open up the book? I provided them a big binder of all of these names of different authorities in town, but I'm talking about like little things that they wouldn't need to bother me for on vacation. She was so frustrated that that was always happening that she wanted to make sure that that message got across to the people that I worked with. Like, come on, you guys, take the effort to find it on your own before you're constantly 24 hours. Because I was on call 24/7, 24 hours a day, contacting me. Well, this happens, right? So that morning of 9/11, I had just gotten up, but didn't turn the TV on, didn't have the radio on, was just relaxing, right? I wanted to get away from the media. And my friend Julie calls and she said, are you up? And I said, I'm just getting up. Good morning. And she said, did you turn the TV on? I said, nope, not turn the TV on. And she said, well, I think you have to. And she said, I am the biggest person that will tell you I don't want to bother you with something that might be minor. But as she knew, this wasn't minor. And the day started to play out. The first tower was hit. And then when the second tower was hit, I was watching the Today Show with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer at the time. And we all knew across the nation, this was not an accident. This was a terrorist attack. And then for weeks and months, and now 23 years later, we are doing everything we can to remember the thousands of lives that were lost. Never forgetting, right? The day that changed everything, so many levels. How has your life changed since 9/11? And again, tell me, where were you on the day that it happened? The very moment. As I watched that second plane hit, my phone rang within seconds, and it was my program director at the station asking, am I away or was I in town? I said, I'm in town. You don't even have to ask. Do you want me to come in off my vacation? And he said, would you? And I said, of course. I wanted to know what they were doing at the time. What kind of coverage were they were doing? You're never going to believe it. They weren't paying attention to the TVs. When I was myself or my reporters, when the newsroom was not there. And at the time, with me being on vacation, all the reporters were out. Oh, no, I take that back. Oh my gosh, that's why. I was sitting there thinking, why would my reporters not have been able to catch this? Yes. So 2 months before 9/11 happened, our station decided to make me a bigger part of the morning show. So I had a full working news department with reporters and interns, etc. And 2 months before that, they decided to make me part of the morning show, more of a personality, and do rip and read, which is what we would call it back then, rip and read news. So there were no reporters. That's why. Yes. No reporters to alert the DJs to what was happening. So my co-host at the time didn't have the TV positioned from the newsroom in directing towards them. They weren't looking at the wire, which would have been lighting up in red. The two of them were talking about her trip to the gynecologist. The phone lines lit up like a Christmas tree. They thought they had really nailed a conversation that everybody wanted to talk about. They take a commercial break. They go to the first call, get ready to record the call before they edit it to, put it on air. And somebody says, "What are you, an effing idiot? Turn the TV on. We have been attacked." And they felt, and I know they did, this big, right? I hope he and she don't shame themselves to this day that they weren't getting the information out. All that mattered was suddenly they flipped, give them some grace. Again, they learned a very important detail that day, a very important lesson, I should say, that day, to never not pay attention, always have that up. And within about an hour, I came in and we went on without a commercial break for 8 straight hours. That's when they really gathered as a team, getting local authorities on the air with me to weigh in, to talk about how we were going to help, what was going to be done. Kind of like what we're seeing every time, Missouri Task Force gets together. We've got all states away, right? Helping in any way we can. Never forget. And so it's that time frame right now. We're in that 7 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock, of course, on the East Coast, when that first plane hit, and then the second, and then what played out for the rest of the day, and the lives that were lost. And one of the eerie things, my mother and I went to New York 1 year later and walked by, and you just tried to feel what took place that morning. My mom and I went to the Today Show. I was a big fan of Katie Couric and wanted to see the Today Show. I happened to have my microphone and my recorder in my purse. When we were checked going into the area, the security guard looked at me and thought, "What do you have a microphone for?" And I said, "Oh, no, I'm just here. I'm doing a year after story." And he's like, are you planning to get it out? I said, "No." And he's like, "Okay, just leave it in your purse." So I walked in, and at some point I just felt compelled to try to get Katie Couric on tape. And I was. So she came out, and when she wrapped up with the show, she came over to me and she was shaking everybody's hands. I pulled it out of my purse and she looked at me and I said, "Do you mind? I'd love to talk to a person in the media that experienced it firsthand in the city where it happened." And she thought about it for a second and she said, "I would love to." And I hope I can find that. This is why I need organization. Somewhere I have an interview with Katie Couric. Somewhere I have an interview with Reba McEntire. 2 big ones that I would love to find. But that interview with Katie was so compelling, so real, so raw, of what they covered when it happened, immediately, obviously running to the scene. And a year after 9/11, the black bunting was up at the time, still trying to determine what they were going to do, Freedom Towers, what was going to take place to rebuild after that horrific day happened. So I was there. I saw what had taken place, and you went back a year in your mind from all the images that we saw. And again, all you have to do is Google today and you'll see image after image after image. You will also see hero after hero after hero. So I ask you, and I'm going to go to your comments now, where were you on 9/11? What do you remember? And here's the biggest thing. What has changed in your life 23 years later? For me, it's just elevating to be aware of your surroundings. It's elevating to show kindness. It's elevating to find out why someone is so torn, so filled with hatred that you would carry out something like this. But please don't remember all the lives that were lost, and also don't forget the heroes that played out in the days and the weeks and the months to come. All right, let's go to your comments. Let me go backwards. It'll be easiest for me. Stephanie says, "I was sad. I freaked out because I have friends from hockey that live in the area of New York, New Jersey, and Long Island. Some of them worked in the city. Thank God my friends were okay." Michelle says, "My mother was there just 2 days prior. She sent me a photo of the beautiful gleaming towers. It has the date stamp on it. Thankful she wasn't there that day." Joy says, "I remember the fear that swept over our nation that morning. Schools, government, businesses closing. But we also came together as a nation." We sure did. We need to again, by the way, with courage, faith, and determination. I pray it doesn't take something so tragic to bring us together again. And we were talking about the debate taking place last night. And boy, it was a spirited debate. I wasn't going to watch the whole thing, but I did. I decided to stay up and watch it all. You can weigh in on that if you would like to. I really believe that they both did an incredible job. I don't care which side of the aisle you are on. I applaud both of them. They were very strong. They definitely, you can tell, were coached, but they talked about different aspects of our world and how we need to bring it together. former President Donald Trump truly believes that if we don't start changing things, and they started talking about the connection with other countries and the divide with other countries, he said we would have World War III. I mean, these are the scary things that are talked about that you hope don't play out. Again, the debate we'll get to in just a second. But Kathy says, I was working at a child care center. We were on the playground when a mother teacher told us. So sad. One of the mothers told me at the end of the day, told me her niece or nephew was to be at the daycare center at the World Trade Center, but the dad overslept. When you don't think that God intervenes, it is when you believe that you have control over your own life. This particular day and these types of moments in history show you when it's our time, and he makes that decision. And for all of our lives that were spared, and for all of the people that didn't get up on time, didn't go into work, they are sitting here today saying, if I wasn't stopped at that red light, if I didn't oversleep, if I would have been on that floor, all those things play out in their spirit and their mind. And then the ones that were lost, you sit there and question, but we can't. At some point, it's going to be all of our time. You don't want to go in such a horrific way, but the families having to deal with that would question. They probably questioned their faith. Maybe they still do today. I hope they lean back in on it, because you wonder, how do you get by if you don't have something of faith to lean in on? Overslept. Such a sad day that we will never, ever forget. Marilyn said it was so eerie when the skies were void of activity. It was like we were standing still. Again, you're weighing in, if you're just tuning in, on where you were on 9/11, 23 years later. Linda said, I was working at a school and we saw it on TV as it was happening. I was the same day we had visitation for Jim's father, who passed away just 2 days before. My sister was actually in the air flying on her way to LA when the towers were hit and all planes were grounded. They had to land in Denver. We talked about how the world changed and still has to this day, how our nation has changed, how our security has changed, how TSA at our airports have changed. Maryland, I was getting ready for work when my 80-year-old father called me frantic. My brother, a pilot for Continental, flew out of New Jersey and panic set in. My brother, fortunately, was in Dallas training on a new airliner. He had difficulty flying out of Newark after that. Every day I see a plane in the air, I make the sign of the cross and pray for that plane. Horrific day, and horrific to have to go through it, right? The entire nation, you think about horrible things that happen in our lives personally, but nobody else knows about it. We're suffering sometimes by ourselves. This is why we need to communicate with others around us, because sometimes people feel the same pain that you do for the personal things that you go through in your life. On that day, the entire nation came together in prayer. The entire nation came together in connection, not divide. The divide happened when the horrific aspects of the day played out from the terrorists doing that to our country. But then everyone cried together, hugged together. You saw kindness, unlike I've ever seen kindness in my life. And how do we get back to that? That's what we're asking. And I agree. We do not need another horrific tragedy to happen to pull the country back together. We've got to find our way back. Michelle said, I was at work at Edward Jones in their call center. Phones were ringing crazy. We couldn't figure out why the brokers were freaking out until we looked at the TV. I started calling my best friend who lived in New York City and couldn't get through for days. Horrible for America. Julie says, I was sitting at my desk at the school that I was at. Julie also, another Julie, said, I watched the Today Show as well. Watched the second one hit. Ashlyn said, I was in grade school at the time of 9/11 and we got sent home. Julie Fabian, I was working for my family's security guard company. We were swamped. Leona, my husband and I were drinking coffee watching the Today Show, and they had breaking news with live calls of bystanders. The videos were unbelievable. Absolutely. Stephanie says, my day off, I was watching the Today Show. So many people watching the Today Show. So much trust that we put into those anchors. It was such a different time in television, by the way. Ashlyn, I want to have you weigh in a little bit more. And Hannah's at home moderating. Anybody else on my team that's of the younger generation, because some of them may have been only a couple of years old, right? So Ashlyn's in her upper 20s. So she was in grade school, she says. What a different way of teaching, how you get that across to the younger generation of what just took place, what would then be in the education books from that day forward. That's the history that they are learning about, still learning about today, and how it's changed. Louisan said, I was on my way to work and I heard it on the radio. Rose, I was at work, thought it was a pilot having a heart attack. You know, that's the thing, that played out in my mind when my friend called. It was, how can you be so off path that you hit a building? Something medical must have happened, because we don't want to go into our minds and our spirits and say that it was, in fact, a terrorist attack. But you all knew, of course, when the second plane hit. Hubby and I visited New York and saw the memorial. My hubby had tears streaming down his face. Absolutely. My mom and I did as well. Very moving memorial. What's even more sad is all the ones who died years later from cancer. Yes, because it had legs. That story, unfortunately, just kept going. I was also off the day of the Oklahoma bombing, and that's another one we could say where we were. Hannah, I wasn't alive when this happened. My older brother was a newborn. And now, though, when you were in school, though, Hannah, tell me how they talk about that in school, when you were in grade school, in high school, anybody that's a parent, how do they address that? It's interesting because as a kid, you think about these things that happened in history, and a lot of times it was so far removed, decades, and I mean decades and decades. I don't remember something that was just like 10, 20 years before when I was a kid. It was things that seemed so far removed from life that it almost didn't seem possible. You have something that's only 23 years ago. And for Hannah, when she learned, it was probably 10, 15 years ago, right? Maybe 18 when she was in grade school. It's just so interesting. And for parents, how did you break that news to your kids? Sometimes people would say, I don't want to tell my kids about it. But if you don't, then they're getting it from friends that they have in school. They're learning it from their teachers. I would want to. I wasn't blessed to be a parent, but I would want to deliver it in the way that I was able to keep my kids calm. So that's one of the things we want to talk about because it's so right there. It feels like it just happened yesterday, 23 years ago, 9/11. And today I ask you to say a prayer for the families that lost. I ask you to say a prayer for the families of the firefighters and the police officers who ran into those towers, because those that did survive are still dealing with it in here and in here. And I hope that they are talking about it. We hear so many times about our heroes that are there to help. And then you hear about addictions that they turn to. You hear about suicides that take place because they can't deal with it. And I do want to mention this here locally, a walk held in Soulard to shine light on suicide prevention. It's something that is so very needed. Places for People, they hosted the event, which provides services for people with physical and mental health issues. And I'm so glad that they're bringing that to attention, because it needs to be talked about so that we can save more lives. If you are struggling, by the way, we've given the number before, 988. And there are people there that will listen to what you're going through. And maybe 23 years later, someone here in our area is affected by what happened in New York. And we remember. So today there's a lot of moments of silence. I'm going to come back and talk about some of the other news you can use. But before we do that, I ask for a moment of silence to remember those that lost their lives 23 years ago today. It's hard not to tear up, by the way. I'm going to do the sign of the cross because that's my belief, my faith in God, that he will help heal those that are still struggling to this day. Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, remember, it's important that you take care of whatever you're struggling with right now. Stay with us. We'll be right back. He wants to say, I can't believe I took your son's life. I don't know what I was thinking. I have so much regret and remorse. I've changed my life. Would you accept that apology?
I've never thought of that. Yeah, I would.
Do you think, because you talk about forgiveness, do you think that you all can ever forgive one another and come back together?
It wasn't just right. I'm not perfect. Just because my name is Bush, I don't have it all figured out. And I think they know that too.
I was cyclically depressed, so I could be the happiest person you ever met at 11 a.m. I could be on cloud 9, and by 7 p.m. that evening, I'd be sitting on a couch with a gun in my hand. Hard not to get emotional. I
never feel sorry for being emotional.
I really, I was at a space to where I couldn't believe that I had brought my children into this.
where's the light? Because many of you probably feel that there's this darkness and there's this thunder cloud that's constantly over you. This family has dealt with so much.
So our journey is our journey. There has to be purpose in this pain. There has to be something more powerful. I have to find something to be blessed about every day. I have to count my blessings and have gratitude every single day.
Again, I always want to thank my team for all the hard work of the promos and the things that they edit up. That one was so beautifully done, and I thought it was very fitting for what we were just talking about. Heartbreaking stories, but we don't stay in the pain. We find a light. We find a way out of it. And those people sat in our chairs talking about the struggles and the pain and the tears that they went through, but then they found the light. And on this day, 23 years later from 9/11, I hope that the people who suffered from the thousands of lives that were lost and still suffering from what they saw that day, the heroes of running in and saving those that they could, that they're not still struggling, but if they are, finding a way to have someone lift them up and give them purpose again. Welcome back. I'm your host, Monica Adams. It's the Real Monica Adams Show. And we really go from really horrific stories to a lot of fun and laugh together, entertainment news, fitness news. It runs the gamut. So when you tell people about the show, make sure that you tell them it's so many levels, right? When we started this show, wanted to make sure that we covered everything that you want us to cover. So when I ask you if there are topics, as you see on the bottom of the screen, or guests that you would like for us to have on, just reach out to me. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com, and I'd love to get that on with you. If you didn't see the forecast, let me bring it up for you again. Here's your 7-day, 90 for today, 84 tomorrow. That rain coming in. Again, it's going to be the remnants of Hurricane Francine that we're following, and our thoughts and prayers going out to all in Louisiana and Texas. We will be following that. We'll be checking in, of course, with Beckett on Friday, our aspiring meteorologist. If you haven't seen him yet, he's remarkable, and he'll be telling us the latest about Francine and what we can expect for that rainfall in our area. 75 on Friday. We go into the weekend, 79, 83 on Sunday, and then 85 on both Monday and Tuesday. I mentioned with the hurricane, if you didn't see, Missouri Task Force 1 is deployed, and they are now in Louisiana ahead of the hurricane, helping out in any way they can with Hurricane Francine. All right, let's talk about the Missouri Supreme Court. They order the abortion rights amendment to go before voters. So the latest on this is an amendment to restore the rights in Missouri will be on the ballot. That's what was ruled by the Supreme Court yesterday. The proposal to enshrine abortion rights in the Constitution is expected to widely undo the state's 2022 near total abortion ban if passed. Judges ruled hours before yesterday's deadline for changes to be made to the November ballot. In the ruling, the court ordered Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft to certify to local election authorities that Amendment 3 be placed on the November ballot and take all necessary steps to ensure its inclusion. Additionally, the Missouri Supreme Court ruled that the motion filed Monday to hold Ashcroft in contempt of court was in fact overruled. So that will be very interesting. I mean, if you don't think that this is going, well, I should say, we hope that this particular November will be packed with people voting. I have to hope so. Exercise your right to vote. Do not complain if it doesn't turn out the way that you want. Accept it. And if you did your right and you voted, well, then that's all you can do, right? You carry out what you can do. And yesterday we told you about the debate. I talked about it a little bit this morning. Did you watch it? If so, you want to weigh in on it at all? The vice president, Kamala Harris, pressed a more forceful case against Trump than Biden did when they had their debate just a couple of months ago. She talked about abortion. They talked about the economy. They talked about democracy. Did you watch it? If so, you can weigh in. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I do want to congratulate someone. We've been talking about no one winning in the Mega Millions, that is, until last night. Mega Millions monster $800 million jackpot was in fact won, not here, but by a single ticket. A single ticket in Texas. Can you imagine? Unbelievable. Yeah, the jackpot worth $800 million. It was ending a 3-month plus drought That's how long it went without a top prize winner. The cash option, by the way, is worth $404.2 million for a ticket sold at Murphy USA. It's a gas station, by the way, in Sugar Land, just outside of Houston. Do you suddenly have cousins in Sugar Land? The annuity prize, the 13th largest in U.S. lottery history, the 7th biggest Mega Million prize. It's the first jackpot hit since a $552 million ticket was bought in Illinois, if you remember that, back on the June 4th drawing. Now, in Missouri, someone did have a $10,000 ticket winner, and then I think 500 in Illinois. The winning numbers, in case you want to check to see if by chance you won anything, 1, 2, 16, 24, and 66. The mega ball drawn was 6 with a mega plier of 4x or 4 times. What would you do with that? That's another thing. I want to end on a higher note. What would you do with that amount of money? And would you take the cash option, by the way, the 400? I mean, do you really need $800 million? I think I would do the cash option. And then I would travel a lot more. I would give to charities near and dear to my heart. I would help out those in my family and my friends that are struggling. I would give to children abused, whether it's sexually, physically, mentally. I would give to animals. I would give to our heroes, our first responders. What would you do? What would you do with that amount of money? All right, I'm going to ask you on a country music line, are you a fan of the band Brooks and Dunn? If you are, they're coming, by the way. I had a chance to see them many years ago. They used to tour a lot with Reba McEntire, and one of the best concerts, by the way, that I have ever seen. They're bringing their latest tour to St. Louis in 2025. The Neon More Tour will be coming to St. Louis at the Enterprise Center, and you can see the date there, April 25th. Are you a big fan? Have you seen them before? If you've seen them before, you know just how incredible they are. And then let's give you some Cardinals news. The Cardinals lost, unfortunately, 3-0 against the Cincinnati Reds. I mentioned that they have that series against the Reds continuing. So same two teams on tap for you tonight. All right, let me look at the last few comments and then tell you about what's coming up here. Marilyn, I hope and pray it went to a good, kind, and giving person. Yes. Leona says vote. Yes, so very important. Rose, my husband is split in half. We have agreed to disagree. My new pool, new cars, and personal chef and live-in maid have to wait since I didn't win the lottery. All right, how many of you are going to get a chance to come and see us tomorrow? I hope so. We will be at the Landing Hub. And if you didn't see yesterday's show, be sure to go back and watch it. Shane Mayer and Jennifer Blakely, the owners of the Landing Hub, joined us. You can see the pool, the top right picture. It is still open. It will be open, actually, by the way, through November. I know a lot of people told me they're coming, and I hope those of you that didn't know we were going to be there, that now you make plans to do so. We have to come, evidently, just for Shane's wings that he's going to be making for everybody. So we're going to be mingling. You're going to be able to walk around and see this fabulous boutique hotel that's been there now for 3 years, the Landing Hub in Pacific, Missouri. And the exciting thing, a lot of people will decide to book the whole hotel for their events. Maybe you've got people coming in for the holidays. The kids would love this place. Trust me. We talked about that seating. It came from Trump Tower, or the Trump Taj Mahal. They said it was crazy. Had to bring cranes and everything to bring it back. But Shane's a big auction aficionado, so that's where he got that. And then the wonderful aviation theme all throughout the hotel, the Star Wars themes, the kids. There's 2 rooms, by the way, of these pods that the kids can stay in. Not just the Landing Hub, but we also want you to check out their other locations. So we're going to broadcast from 4:30 to 6 at the Landing Hub. And then a mile away, we're going to go to really what is the downtown Main Street area. And they have the Cigar Vault is their second location. You're going to come if you can and mingle. If you can't make it to the 4:30 to 6 live broadcast, then come to the Cigar Vault. Come inside, enjoy. There's Julie, the bartender. I'm not sure if she'll be bartending tomorrow night, but a lot of great bourbons that people like. And then I think it's so cool. The cigars are in old bank vault. And the thing that I love about them is that they introduce you to more boutique style cigars instead of the big names, like the big chains. And then bring the kids by. They'll enjoy seeing the train because it is, in fact, a train town. How many of you are coming to see us? I hope so. Let's see. Leona, watched. I love that ABC fact checked. Kathy, Rose, my parents used to joke that their votes canceled each other out, but they both voted and they loved each other. That's it, right? You just have to love. It doesn't matter whether this person or that person gets in. What matters is you voted, and then that you accept, and that we don't have animosity, and we don't have name calling, and we don't have bullying, social media bullying, in-person bullying, name calling. Except the most important thing is that whoever gets in office, you hope they take care of our world. And if you don't want to be in the country, then maybe you move to another country until the next 4 years and the next person comes in. Whatever you need to do, but keep it shut if you don't like what happens after the November election, as long as you do your due diligence. Marilyn, so sorry. Goodbye party tomorrow for a team member. See you on the 4th. Sorry that you can't make it. Let's see. There are a handful of people that I would put their name on my ticket. I know their hearts, and I promise to help those hurting and help them get on their feet and pay it forward. Yes, I love that. Okay, if you can't come tomorrow, I do know Marilyn bought tickets for this one. We are going to be on October 4th in Defiance, Missouri. That's our big 400th celebration, 400 shows, and we're going to celebrate with Tiffany and Larry Winkler. Before I tell you about our show, can you please do me a favor and drop a bunch of comments and prayers for that family? Unexpectedly, her mother-in-law passed away, only in her upper 60s. And evidently, she had just been at the movie theater the night before, and they found out yesterday morning, probably around 2 o'clock in the morning, that she passed so unexpectedly. So I asked for prayers for Larry, her husband, that he is able to find some comfort and calmness. And she said for her, she would love for the prayers that she's able to comfort him. Just can't believe that happened. I can't wait to give them a huge hug and be there for them. They are, again, the owners of Circle 6, which is just a few miles down the road, the actual farm aspect. You're going to come on October 4th to the new Meat Market and Watering Hole. Again, it's a steak dinner that you'll get. The tickets are on sale. I know about, I think 16 or 18 of you have bought your tickets already. Go to TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Click on the calendar of events. Buy your tickets. They're $40, and the proceeds go to something very near and dear to all of us, and that is our first responders. As we talk today about what those responders do, let's thank them by helping them. Responder Rescue is an incredible organization that steps in when their lives are lost or injured and can't return to what they love. So Responder Rescue will be the benefiting aspect. Here's a look for you of the outside. That right side, by the way, is where you're going to order your food when you're there on a regular basis, maybe getting your burgers, etc. But you're going to get a wonderful steak dinner that night. Steak, potatoes, salad, a couple of drink tickets, music, big giveaways, and of course, just celebrating with us for our 400th show. We're going to have a ton of first responders out there. I mean, they're doing it up big. I heard that the trucks are going to come out. Could there be a helicopter? That's something that has been talked about. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss that one, again, on October 4th. And then October 10th, I can't wait to go take some pictures to show you this place. I'll have Hannah right now drop, though, the link in for Yenology. So Yenology, it's not a real word. It was made up by our friend Sarah, who is the owner of Yenology. So many things, if you have paid attention, that we in our studio, we switched out the candle that we have, and this one is their signature. It's Feel the Wave. They also have Feel the Myrrh, which I bought. Yenology is located at 903 South Lindbergh. It's Suite 110 in Frontenac, and Sarah is the owner. It's a boutique in Frontenac. If you have not been yet, please go by. Tell her that you heard about her on our show. You want to get a new candle. You want to get something to just calm the space of your home a little bit more. There's so much that you can do in person, but you can also go to their website and shop online. They do have an online store. She's very big on teaming up with other local small businesses. They've got pottery. They've got jewelry there. They've got cedar, myrrh, as I mentioned. They've got cannabis products. They've got candles. It goes on and on. But what I really love is everything. They've got, doTERRA essential oils. So you've been looking for some of those. Diffusers, holders, so much that you could buy for yourself and buy for somebody else on your list. But we're going to be out there for a noontime show on October 10th. We're going to bring her in studio before to talk about her absolutely incredible life. When I talk about, I like to see the journey of where a person has come before they'd start to think about their dream. Her background is unbelievable. Yanology, by the way, committed to high quality products for everyone. They seek to work with local and national suppliers that believe in treating people with dignity and respect. Isn't that a wonderful way to end? We have that same vision. Those that are diverse and inclusive and focus on building a healthy and a peaceful society. We're going to talk with Sarah, and she is a licensed lawyer that practiced family law in Missouri. In 17, she pivoted her practice to focus on cannabis law and supporting the passing of medical marijuana in Missouri. She's got so much more, though. She also has worked with women's health and wellness, with women that have been abused. She used to be on the board of the St. Louis Ballet. She was recognized as one of St. Louis's most influential business women for the class of 2022 by the St. Louis Business Journal. And it goes on and on and on. Her passion is family, women's health, wellness, and growth, and the arts organizations. Sarah, I cannot wait to have you on our show. But before that, please do me a favor, stop in, look around, enjoy, and get something for yourself, because she is giving you a discount off of almost everything in the store, minus like some of the higher end jewelry, etc. But why not go in there? And just because you are a viewer, hopefully a regular one of our show, she is giving back to you, which is going to be really, really cool. Can't wait for that. So if you can come on the day of our show, I'd love that. Mark it on the calendar again. On the 10th at noon is when we'll be there. So we've got some really awesome Mobile Monicas coming up for you, and more to come that we are working on. So if you'd like to have us come to your business or your festival or your event, and you want thousands, and I do mean thousands of eyes on your business, reach out to me or somebody on my team, and we will get a Mobile Monica set up for you. Okay, before we wrap up, let me make sure that I haven't missed anybody else's comments. Kathleen said, looking forward to joining everyone on the 4th. Thank you, Kathleen, for your constant support of our show. And Marilyn, can we have name tags on the 4th? I'd like to know my fellow maniacs. I think we could do that. October 10th at noon, Hannah says, Mobile Monica at Yanology, and she put the website in there. So click on it, and maybe shop online if you can't travel, because some people say that they maybe aren't close to Frontenac. That's fine. So go in and check them out. Again, Yanology. I can't wait to sit down with her. Jenny and I actually already went into her store and just absolutely fell in love with it. I mentioned today, so tomorrow I'll get a chance to tell you firsthand about my experience. I am going in to experience firsthand the luxury that is Elemental Aesthetics. Can't wait to tell you more about it tomorrow. If you want to do online scheduling, so a lot of you are thinking about going to get a facial or a peel, anything that we talked about. I love the dermaplaning. I hope she does that today. They have an ultimate facial, a relaxing facial, micro peels, dermaplaning, customized facial. That's the whole thing that Jennifer Warman Bloss recommends, is that you come in and then let her see. She said she likes to feel the skin. So I'm going to go in, take all the makeup off, and she will determine what's the best for me. I think I want to sit in that room, though, for a little while. Elemental Aesthetics, and Hannah just put the link up for you so you can find them off of Ballas Road. Jennifer Warman Bloss, love you and welcome to our team. All right, everyone, it's been a beautiful day. Marilyn said very important and enlightening. You need to go in, grab your girlfriends. I think Marilyn wanted to know if she could go in with her friends and go in and get facials. And there's actually a bed that she talked about where they put headphones on it. It's the music aspect that helps people that have ADD, ADHD, other traumas. So many levels of services that they have there, again, at Elemental Aesthetics. Get in before, if you can, before next Wednesday when she comes back on with us. You're going to see her with me every other Wednesday. Tonight, I'll be at Defiance Ridge. It is Wet Your Whistle Wednesday, after all. Can't wait to see Chuck and hear all about his trip to Maine, I believe is where they went to. If you haven't been to Defiance Ridge, take a look at this. You need to get in with your friends. Isn't that cool? It's just absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful space. They've got great wine, great food, a lot of fun, wonderful bands, wonderful music, big farmhouse dinners that maybe some of you have or have not been to. That last picture you saw, the big farm boards, those are really, really popular. So if you're thinking about something to get when you enjoy your glass of wine, I'd recommend those boards for sure. And we're starting to get into cooler months. So I know the people love to go to the wineries in October. It's always a big month, Oktoberfest, for beer and for wine. So can't wait. We're going to spend some time this afternoon with Chuck. He actually sent me a message yesterday and said, would you like to taste some fresh wines, of course, as they're kind of going through the process. So that's what we will be doing. Visiting this afternoon, 4:00, again, with my dear friend, Chuck Gillentine. I hope you get a chance to watch. And then tomorrow, it's Positive Talk time. We'll be sitting down with Jessica Cook. Have you bought your tickets, by the way, for the gala? I know that they were stuck right at about 125 tickets sold for the gala. If you haven't purchased your tickets yet, please do so. It's, we're going to celebrate a whole new world with you coming up on October 19th at Whitmore Country Club. We'll be there. Many people from my team will be doing the emceeing and auctioneering and raising money for our babies that need your help. Purchase your tickets. If you've purchased yours already, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Great silent and live auction items. The dogs will be there. They've got an animal communicator. I need that person to tell me what my animals are thinking. That's really, really a cool thing. And so much more. But we want to sell this out. Again, October 19th. Don't wait to the last second. I'd love for them to feel calm. They have everything together. They can do the seating arrangements. Can't wait to talk tomorrow about many things with Jessica and featuring a brand new animal. Marilyn said I have my gala tickets. Thank you so much for all of your support, Marilyn. And to each and every one of you, thank you. Not only you for watching the show, but I see so many of you that share this show. Do that. Let it continue to spread, because what we said earlier in the show and what I will wrap up with is so important. We saw divide 23 years ago in the tragedy that happened in 9/11. We've seen divide in so many aspects of things that have happened in history. We've got to get rid of the hatred and bring more kindness to the world. And trust me when I tell you, you can do it. You will make a difference. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day.